Yes, I am Diane Miller. I am Community Product Marketing Manager at SnapLogic. As in all of our sessions, we'll do our Q&A at the end, so please post any questions into the chat, and we'll try to cover as many as possible. I am pleased to introduce to you Jonathan Howells from Sony. Excuse me.
Hi, Diane.
It's been one of those mornings. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Great.
So, shall we jump into slides?
Please do.
All right. Let's move right past this. Give me a moment. We're going to do a quick overview through our experience deploying SnapLogic and sort of what led us to consider the platform to begin with and the kind of problems that we were trying to solve in bringing it on board. So my strong hope is that I don't need to introduce Sony as a company and that you're all familiar with us and passionate users of our products. But nevertheless, we've been around for 70 years as a company that deploys a wide variety of products focused on entertainment and imagination, bringing technology, using technology to hopefully bring a world of emotion to the to you all. One of the things about Sony as a company is we are a big global entity made up of many small local companies. So each country that we operate in has its own company with its own infrastructure, its own way of doing business in order to be able to develop and deliver products and services within a specific company, following rules and regulations. So I come from the HRES part of the company, and one of the things that we were looking to do is really launch a global digital transformation initiative within HR to take services and things that were being used by HR globally on a local basis and bring them into one platform. We were really focused on consolidation, how to get to a standard platform, standard way of operations. And all of this effort sort of went against the way that the company had been operating for a while. So we had a big challenge on our hands. And we're really trying to see how we could make this move smoothly. So I think that for us, oops, sorry, I'm looking to shift a slide. There we go. For us, one of our big challenges is that in forming this global initiative to provide a single platform for HR services, we really were going a little bit against the grain of the local infrastructure, local IT, and the way that individual companies would manage their data and the integrations with local HR systems. For us, we wanted to set up sort of a virtual distributed island that we would operate on top of this, connecting with those local companies and local HR organizations, and give them a way to, I think, harmonize the data set that they had to do things following one model, whether that was around compensation or pay groups or performance management, the way that we were engaging with development plans, all of that, and try to get onto one standard way of doing business within the HR space and how we would manage workers. Now, doing that harmonization was its own effort that was really tough to get to one agreed upon way of doing business and one way of looking at data. In order to make that real, we of course had to deploy a system, which we went with Workday and started working on the process of getting everyone into that system. And the third part of that, it was setting up this organization for us to be able to manage the system, manage the data, and be able to provide services for all of those folks. So I think that the key for us really was to keep some control over what it is that we are trying to manage, but still provide services to each of these local companies. In order to do that, we felt that we needed to deploy an integration platform that would give us as much control as possible without having to rely on services provided through the IT organization, which traditionally has a very waterfall based approach to deploying projects, where we're doing long-term planning, budgetary review, making sure that we can go through and deliver things in a way that fits into their capacity model. We really wanted to be able to quickly prototype, bring up a proof of concept, try some small, quick ways of doing things, and deploy those out as we went. So for us, having that, I think, ability to do some quick modeling and allow our subject matter experts within the HR space to come as close to the data as possible, so that we were avoiding all of this translation between the people who knew the data, knew what they wanted to accomplish with it, and the actual tools that we would deliver. And so for us, this was a key component of moving to an integration platform, and SnapLogic gave us the ability to do this. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. When I think about what we were trying to accomplish then, I think the key for us, if I move across this slide, was really about speed. I mean, I can't stress that enough. We wanted to be able to do the rapid proof of concept, a fast prototype, where we could focus on a minimum viable product, where we could demonstrate to our stakeholders that, in fact, we could turn something around quickly of high quality, and then they could have confidence in our ability to manage the data, solve specific problems that we may have, and deliver incremental business value. This for us was really important. For those of you who may not be using SnapLogic, we found, in fact, we were quite surprised that the barrier to entry for new people coming in within an HR or other business domain, still with some technical knowledge and comfort dealing with data and tools, they were very, very quick to come on board, be able to use the tool, and start deploying some integrations and some other solutions. As we went through, one of the things we were really impressed with was the self-documentation that is within each of the pipelines that we were deploying, which allowed us to do knowledge transfer and training for other people to come on board and support things in a very rapid and effective way. Beyond that, I think that we were able to establish ourselves as sort of this integration island for the HR data, which is very closely guarded. It is secret level data for us. It crosses multiple boundaries in terms of individual companies and country rules and regulations. So I have France and Germany sitting with Japan and Argentina and the US all in one commingled database. So those controls were incredibly important for us. So being able to have an HR specific data set where we could control those boundaries was really important. But then, of course, we want to be able to connect with anything. So I think that where we found a bit of a surprise for us was we started out with some simple integrations around synchronizing between different systems, and we quickly learned as we were using the platform that while that was really helpful, where we were seeing the most opportunity for us had to do with implementing some of the business logic, using the pipelines, especially when connecting with API to our different systems, that could take very complex business decisions based on data changes and implement a fully automated way to do the transactions without having someone go in and make decisions on a daily basis. And this ended up saving us a tremendous amount of time and looking for other opportunities to be able to automate our operations, thanks to this ability to use the tools, the APIs, and build out these automated transaction flows. I'm going to show a quick overview of our architecture. Now, again, this is very cleaned up and sanitized for this audience. So, and I know I'm going really quick, and I appreciate it. But I think for us, you see up at the top is our HR information system, which I mentioned is primarily Workday. For us, the key thing was to ensure that from this primary application that we own, that we were able to maintain stable operations, predictable services, and high quality data that was both secure and accurate. I think that we connect with all sorts of different things, and if I just sort of go counterclockwise around this, from a third-party standpoint, there are external vendors which provide a variety of different worker services, from benefits and some training, some other types of things that we want to be able to connect to. There are a couple of HR systems that are legacy, that due to compliance or sort of a retirement path that these systems are on, we still need to connect to and do some synchronization, at least on a daily basis, if not more, which ensures that any changes made in those systems are reflected properly in ours. And again, that's where we see a lot of automation in terms of those day-to-day HR transactions being done by the system rather than by individuals doing dual keying, which has been a really big benefit for us. Along the bottom, we've had no issue in terms of the standard types of IT integration that we've wanted to manage, whether that's with our enterprise identity access management, authentication, tools like Teams, Slack, etc., or collaboration-based platforms, whether that's something like Microsoft tools around SharePoint, etc. All of those things that we want to be able to connect to, we have been able to do, and that's helped us with both intake of requests and also delivery of different types of data or reporting out to different platforms. I think as we move up on the right side, we have a variety of custom applications that we are building. We found that once we started building out the UI, SnapLogic as the business layer for those became a pretty powerful tool, primarily because we were doing extensions of the basic capabilities of our HR system, but we needed to change something either for local compliance or regulation, or maybe there was a specific approval flow or something we needed to build out just to sort of streamline business activity. So being able to use the APIs with SnapLogic as the trigger there, or even full business flows within SnapLogic, helped us to really, I think, understand how powerful it was, not just as an integration engine, but for this business logic, and helping us to drive our custom application development within this HR space. Again, we have this island of HR services and applications that we want to keep strict control of, and this has really helped us to be able to deliver high value within that without breaking the model. Finally, we do have some strong analytics tools that we're getting into basic things around monitoring and reporting, but some of the analytics dashboards and being able to provide business insight are also shared through SnapLogic, whether as a delivery mechanism from the HR system into that platform or by blending from multiple places. And we see a tremendous amount of opportunity for us looking forward, as we're deploying more of those capabilities. Moving on, I'm just keeping an eye on the time, and I feel like I'm rushing at a top speed, so my apologies about that. I want to talk a little bit about the specific use cases that we were trying to solve. Initially, on the left, like I said, it was simply a synchronization between two systems. And while this seems pretty simple, this is something that when we first were looking at how to do the synchronization between a rather old custom legacy system and the new Workday environment, we ran into a couple of snags. And in working with our IT team at the time, we found that we were looking at really long lead times and some complexity just based on the difference in data models, the difference in data types, and a few other roadblocks that we had that were really sort of leading us to stumble. And I think that was in large part due to the legacy system having legacy tools and capability, which didn't really translate into a lot of the power that we needed, but also it had to do with the subject matter experts in the HR space not really being able to communicate in a way that the technical team, who didn't have the HR experience, could understand, and being able to solve some of those problems. We got there, but we really hit a number of roadblocks that kept us from moving forward in an efficient way. We went to SnapLogic, asked about whether we could get some help with a proof of concept. We planned for 6 weeks. We delivered in 2, and it was a quick, like I say, proof of concept that hit every aspect of the business need, proved what we wanted to prove, and led us to actually signing up with the service, and it has become a central part of our architecture as a result. But that, I think, bowled over our stakeholders and beat every expectation that we had, and led us to start saying that, well, maybe if we can take control of this data, even though we're in the HRIS space and not fully in the IT space, that we could start to do some interesting things. As a result of that, we really started training up our team on SnapLogic and the integrations and things. And the key that we've found is that there's huge opportunity for us to do automation, whether that's around some of the business process and business transactions I had mentioned earlier, testing some of the high volume transactions. We're now looking at building an automated monitoring and deployment, and how this fits into a sort of a DevOps journey for us. So it's been a very interesting process of learning how the automation capabilities in this tool, merged with some of the other things that we're working on, is leading us into a new direction that I frankly didn't expect to see us going. And again, it's because we've got a fairly intuitive tool that's very powerful, that's only limited by I think some of our imagination and willingness to learn a little bit more. I think finally, and probably this is the most important thing for us, is I have here what we're introducing an integration management framework, but really what this is about is our ability to automate the integration side, and we can actually focus less on managing those things on the day-to-day operations side, and really focus more on building out systems, solutions, and prototypes, doing a rapid proof of concept that can get us to more interesting work. We're building out, I think, there's a lot more confidence on the part of our stakeholders, and they're seeing that leveraging these tools, we're able to deliver a significant amount of business value in a very short amount of time, thanks to the ability to build on this framework that we're putting in place. I think we've got one more slide. There we go. This is summarizing much of what I've already mentioned. I would want to underline that the ease of use for this, while it still is a tool that requires someone to understand technology and data and how to work with some of these things, the self-documenting features that are in every pipeline, where you can go and understand the logic very clearly, see the transformation, what's happening, makes it really easy to onboard people, to do knowledge transfer for teams, or if we need backup for support, to troubleshoot when we have an issue, because of course we have our share of incident here and there. But it allows us to react more quickly, and I think to really have a more stable environment. But that ease of use, etc., and that onboarding time has really been one of the key contributors to the success of the platform. Again, I think that our future focus on automation is only growing, and again has cemented SnapLogic as sort of a central piece of this architecture for us, because it's allowing us to get many of these things that were manual, that were troublesome, that were requiring a lot of daily focus and capacity, and getting them into an automated fashion where we are buying time for more strategic endeavors and being able to deliver more specific business value. This last point, if there's nothing else that you take away, I would say the enabling the agile delivery. This has been one of the biggest benefits that we've had. And that rapid deployment of proof of concept or prototyping really has allowed us to do things in a much more efficient and effective way, and to focus on building up small bits, small components. And we've made a full transition from our old waterfall, slow implementation to rapid delivery, and I think really being able to shorten our lead time and our realization of business value. There's my quick run through. I think that as we, I think we'll probably invite Diane to come back in and see how we're doing in terms of any questions or comments.
Thank you, Jonathan. As you've seen in every other presentation, we have our summit resources. So from our 30-day free trial to certification, training, and access to our community, SnapLogic is committed to supporting you in your enterprise automation journey. And I have put all of these links within our community under our enterprise automation category. So you can go to all these topics directly. So in talking with you through this, in putting these slides together, Jonathan, one of the questions that came to my mind was, how did you let your IT department, or I should say, how did your IT department let you go off and do your own kind of process without having a lot of governance from them?
Right. I have two answers to that, and I'll give you both, but one is more careful than the other. On the one hand, we were a new organization being started, and we had a big global charter to launch this new HR platform, and it didn't follow our typical way of doing things. I work in an organization that is, when I said distributed earlier, my boss works for a different company than I do, and his boss works for a different company than he does, and so we span the globe.
Right.
And because we need to be providing these services to all of the local companies. And so I think that we had a little bit of permission to try things a little bit differently. The other side to it is the initial approach from the IT organization at the time, which has dramatically changed since this point, but was really to have an IT-driven implementation of a system like this. But that was a very different timeline. It would have been a very different approach focused on our training from an HR subject matter expert standpoint, local IT teams, so that they could do implementation. If you think PeopleSoft, SAP, or some of those system implementations, which we've done many of those internally. This is Workday is a software as a service, so it's much more about configuration. It's a different way of working. So for us, when we were looking at how to do the integration between this software as a service platform and the legacy systems, I really wanted to go with another software as a service provider, and this integration platform as a service did fit in. Now, we did full market analysis, and I can tell you, all of the other folks that are out there, we've looked at them. I've seen Informatica, Dell Boomi, Web Methods, and the list goes on, and we've looked at them. And in fact, my company has many of those internally. What they all came with was capacity planning, building up, buying resources, planning those out, on a quarter by quarter basis, versus a tool that I could bring our folks in who may be technically savvy and have them build something pretty rapidly and deploy it. This is, again, why, even though I'm in HR, my title is product management. We focus on minimum viable product. What's the smallest thing we can do to deliver business value? And we may do lots of small things that add up to big complex systems, but we want that agile, rapid delivery of stable, interesting solutions. SnapLogic helped fit into that. And so I think that as we did that first demonstration around what it is we wanted to be delivering, showed that we could deliver it in a way that fit our very strict governance model and control in terms of data protection and data privacy for this very secret level data, we quickly built the confidence, and we have only built on that over the subsequent 3 years or so that we've had SnapLogic in place, and now no one questions whether it should be in place, because we've shown that it allows us to actually have strong controls around this data set and give it to where we need to go, but without introducing any risk into our environment and the controls we need to have.
Okay. What one piece of advice would you give to a team considering using SnapLogic?
I think, and I wish that we had known this, is it's really start small. And I think when I've talked to you all about it, so I said think small. And what I mean by that is, you just heard me say a moment ago, the product management term of minimum viable product. What that means is someone may have an idea for a big complex solution, but if you can say, let's look at a core value that you get out of that, and maybe it has to do with simple transformation, or maybe it's connecting to another system, or maybe it's automating a business process, or doing an API connection. Each of those small components are areas that they're small problems you can solve. And I think by rapidly hitting those pieces, you can then build them out. It's like component-based programming, meaning you focus on the small bits that you can do, but then you're building confidence, you're building capability, and you're demonstrating value as you go. And ideally, you're also building reusability. And I think that what we've learned by having that small focus is there are many things that we can start to deliver that are easy for newcomers or people who are trying to come up to speed with the technology. It's easy for them to comprehend that smaller bit and then start deploying things based on that. But having said that, you can then build incredibly complex, advanced, and really, I think future-focused solutions. And we have some things in place that are really advanced, but it all starts with that small proof of concept, that small idea that you want to show that you can deliver business value. That's what it comes down to.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. I think we're at time. So again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.